What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon, NFL DFS video. We are going to look at the Monday Night Football showdown between the Green Bay Packers and the Las Vegas Raiders. So we started at a 43.5 over-under to start the week. It has gone up due to the fact that Garoppolo is now cleared. He will be starting. Looks like Adams and Jones are going to be in there, but we will look at it. But just looking at the current lines, opened at a 43.5 over-under, and the Packers to be a 1-point favorite. Current line, 45.5 over-under, and it is shifted to the Raiders as a -2 favorite. Obviously, with Garoppolo being back, and just Jones is questionable. It is Monday Night Football. We are waiting to hear some news, but I wanted to break down what we do. So if you've been here before, you know that we break down the entire slate. We look at the main slate. We looked at Thursday Night Football slate. Now we look at this. So we're going to look at this, and I'm really glad I didn't do a Sunday Night Football breakdown because the Cowboys broke down themselves. Crazy. But yeah, so I just wanted to look at this. We're going to look at the players that make sense. We're going to look at the ones that make sense as like captains or punt plays and stuff like that. So if you find anything at all useful in this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We do this every single week. So that being said, just kind of looking at our matchup tool. Now, I wanted to show you, make sure you guys can see it, make sure it's good enough on the screen. Okay, it's good enough on the screen, and we'll kind of look at that. So a lot of things to go over. We'll look at the players, we'll look at the matchups and stuff like that. And then we'll even dig down just a little bit that plays that make sense as a captain, plays that make sense as not a captain. Then those punt plays that you know you're going to see. We see them all the time. It just depends on what you're looking at. So, again, we do go with DraftKings. FanDuel is okay. The pricing's a little bit different for me. I just prefer everything on DraftKings the way it is. But yeah, so I just want to go over every single thing with the matchup real quick. Then we'll jump into just DraftKings and we'll look at everything. So, looking at Green Bay, it's Jordan Love. We played, he's the quarterback. That's what we've got out of him. He's going. He does rush. On the season, he's rushed 17% of all of the snaps. Last week, he rushed 16%. In all of the snaps last week, 16%. If you look at it, Las Vegas against the opposing quarterback on DraftKings, 22 ranked out of 32, and then on FanDuel, 23. Aaron Jones, is he in? Is he out? We don't know. We're still waiting on him. You're looking at that. He's been hurt. Seeing if there's any news that have jumped up just to tell us anything. He is questionable, same practice. So he played last Thursday. He's had this many days in between. He's had 10 days in between. He should play. He should be good to go. But then we saw what he did last week. Didn't do a lot. Yeah, 2.4. 5 attempts. So he's had another 10 days of practice. I think this could be in store. I think people might be off of him because he's got that questionable tag. But we look at him. Vegas is ranked 24th out of 32 against the opposing running backs. Then if Aaron Jones is out, is it A.J. Dillon? Well, A.J. Dillon didn't do a ton. Last week, he also screwed us over. So if you look at this, where is he at? Did I miss him? 6,900. You look at this, he's healthy, and the 1.1 fantasy points, had 5 attempts. It was a very weird game for the Packers. I will admit that. Probably not going with Emmanuel Wilson, not even as a dart play for this. Then we get into the wide receivers. Now, Christian Watson did have a questionable tag. It looks like he's good to go, so we are good there. Romeo Doubs obviously is there. Jaden Reed always makes an option. Probably wouldn't go down to Wicks, Turi, or Heath. I don't think I'd reach that far, especially with captain. But maybe we can look and we can see if we could reach that far in a flex option here. As you can see, Vegas rates 13th out of 32 against the opposing wide receivers. So they're on the top half of decent secondary against wide receiver. But again, it's a showdown. You got to get some exposure somewhere. Then we get into the tight ends. This is the one that screwed us over last week, Luke Musgrave. So we look at Musgrave. He went out for a concussion, they thought he had a concussion. We had him if you were with us with sports betting, we had him in part of one of our parlays where he just needed, I want to say 5 receptions, I think, and he only had 1, and then he got hurt. Obviously 1 yard. No, he needed yardage. He needed something. I can't remember what he needed. He went out very early in the game with a concussion and then was out. He doesn't have a designation there. He's obviously the tight end 1 here, 3,500. Well, not on the showdown, but you can see, yeah, last week he had 2% of the targets, but he got hurt. And Vegas ranks 18th out of 32 against the opposing tight ends, so they're on the bottom half of that. So everything would be good there. Obviously, a DeGuara would be a very contrarian option for flex if you want to get a little bit crazy. You want to try and win some top money, and he has a good game. Let's flip it over to Vegas. Obviously, Garoppolo did not play last week, got hurt the week before that. Green Bay actually ranks 9th out of 32 against the opposing quarterback. So they've been pretty good against the opposing quarterback. Against the opposing running back, they have not. 23 out of 32. That brings me up to Josh Jacobs. Probably not much with Zamir White or Abdullah, but Jacobs here, if we look at he's the second highest priced here. Game log coming off his best game of the year, 58 yards with a touchdown, had 81 yards in the air. So he is doing both. So then if we dig into this a little bit, they are, ranked 9th out of 32 against wide receivers, so you've got that running back position where he catches a lot of balls as well. I still like him there. So Josh Jacobs would be one of my top plays here. Probably not going with Zamir White and Abdullah. You'd only go with them if Jacobs ends up getting hurt, and if he does, throw them in maybe a line. If you make multiple lineups, throw him in a lineup in case he gets hurt. But again, don't bank on him getting hurt. Then we move on to the wide receivers. Is this the revenge game for Davante Adams? He should be playing. He's questionable. We know his floor on DraftKings basically right around 15 to 18 fantasy points. Is it a revenge game? It's not really a revenge game because he wanted to be traded. He didn't want to stay in Green Bay for whatever reason because he wanted to go back home or something like that. So revenge game, I would say that narrative would be when he doesn't want to get traded and gets traded to like a bad team. Not the case here, but I absolutely love him as a wide receiver 1. I absolutely love him here. His matchup, 9th out of 32, so they are pretty good against wide receiver. He is matchup proof. As long as he stays healthy, absolutely love Davante Adams. Jacoby Myers is another one I'll look at. I will have exposure to Myers. Probably will have a little bit of exposure to Hunter Renfrow as well. That's probably as far down as I would go. I wouldn't go with Tucker or Carter in this one. Then we get to the tight end position. Green Bay's actually been pretty good against the tight end as well. Their defense overall has been pretty good. Austin Hooper would be their tight end 1. He had 5% of the targets last week, playing 50% of all the snaps. Mayer didn't play, or he did play the snaps, didn't have any rushes, didn't have any targets. Same thing with Jesper, didn't play at all last week. So it would be Austin Hooper or bust for tight ends here. So that being said, there are plays that I do like. There are plays that I'm probably not looking at. Ones I'm definitely not looking at would be Horsted, DeAndre Carter, Tucker, Brandon Bolden, Abdullah. I would be out of them. And then Green Bay, I would be off of probably Tucker Kraft, Heath and Toure, maybe a little bit of Wicks we can definitely see there. Emmanuel Wilson, probably off of him as well. We need to get a fantastic play out of Aaron Jones. He needs to come back. His week 1 was good. His week 1 was fantastic. And then he hasn't done much. So, that being said, let's jump into what makes sense for a captain. Obviously, captain prices, you can see, like Davante Adams, 16.8 for captain, and on flex, he's 11.2. So, it's hard to build a good lineup that you feel confident with. With DraftKings, I always feel confident with a defense. Sometimes you put him in the flex. Sometimes you put him in the captain spot. Don't know if I'll be putting him in the captain spot tonight. I might. So if you just look, let's just look. So captain spot here, 6,600, and then they're 4,400 flex, and then 3,800 flex and 57. So they are cheap, and then you've got your kickers that you're always looking at as well. So that being said, jumping into it, absolutely love Davante Adams. We know what to expect out of him when he's in there. I had a down week last week, but I believe he left hurt. Yeah, he only did have one practice, so that's the problem. He had one practice, but he really doesn't need practice, guys. He's averaging 99 yards a game, 397 yards, and 33 receptions through 3 3.5 weeks, basically, averaging 23.4 fantasy points. If you put him in the captain spot, obviously we're going to get 1.5 times whatever his floor is. I really love this. The thing is, if he is healthy and good to go, he is as good a captain as I felt with DJ Moore last week. So last week, Thursday, I had splits of DJ Moore at captain and Justin Fields, and we cashed everywhere with the game that those two had. It's the same thing. If you got Adams in the captain spot, you're gonna have to put Garoppolo in there, and I don't mind that at all. So Devontae Adams, number 1, I love him as my captain spot. Number 2 is Josh Jacobs. He's healthy. He's got a great matchup against a defense that doesn't do well against the running back. As long as he stays healthy, we know what he had. He had a monster game last week. He is in store for something along this. I think he makes a fantastic captain or MVP on FanDuel. He makes a fantastic flex option as well if you want to go with Devontae Adams. Now, if you did do Adams, Jacobs, and Garoppolo, it does limit you a little bit with 4,400. That's the problem. So that's just kind of the thought there. If you did like a defense, like if you went, say you went with Raiders defense, let's just say you're going Raiders defense, then you go Adams, Jacobs, and Garoppolo. Nope. And I'm not saying do this. I'm just saying if you were to do that, then you could get him, and him in there, and you're still averaging 6,500. So just kind of the thought process when you're building throughout there. Some people do. I love the emails that I get when you guys are like, or tweets or whatever we call them now on X. When you guys are like, I really loved what you did there. Thanks for breaking it down for me. So that's kind of the thought there. Other ones I would use, obviously. I don't know if Watson at 100%. I kind of like Dobbs. Dobbs at 8,200 or Dobbs at 12,300 for a captain spot. I don't mind that. Watson, I don't mind that. If we don't think Adams is 100% healthy, Jacoby Myers at 10,500 for captain. Leave 7,900 per around there, and you can look Garoppolo's 9,400, then Adams, and you still get about 6,300 there. So there are different options to go at captain. I think it's pretty cut clear that it's, I think it's Devontae Adams, it's Josh Jacobs, and for some reason, I think Dobbs could be in the nuts lineup, meaning I think he could be the $1 million lineup. Dobbs is a sneaky option for me for a captain spot. I think everyone's going to be on Adams, everyone's going to be on Jacobs. If you go down to Dobbs, you save 3,000 there and off of Adams, and you just can do some other things there. So you go Dobbs, you go Jordan Love. God, why does it do that? 12,300, sorry. You still save, 4,500. So you save that. You go Love, and then just depending, maybe you want to go with Jacoby Myers because you don't know. Then you got Garoppolo, and then you could still average 5,700, which brings you down to here to the kickers. Like you could go there. We've got Carlson. We got where are they brothers? No, probably not. And then you could average 7,300 here for maybe a Jaden Reed, or it just depends. Luke Musgrave, if you think you've got both. So you have both quarterbacks there. You have a different captain that you might not be thinking about. You still have about 2,100, and you can do some other things with it. So there are a lot of ways and a lot of avenues to go with around just different ways. So kind of just looking at that. Those are my captains. If I'm looking at other ones, I don't know if I trust any other ones at captain. But then this is where, so those are the captains. Obviously, they make great flex opportunities as well. But let's go down a little further. What are the plays that just, now these are all GPP plays. These are all ones that can go off. I'm not guaranteeing they go off. That's the thing. So, and A.J. Dillon, the kickers. We've got the defenses. Those are all fantastic options. I don't think a defense takes down a tournament in flex today, or in captain, unless somehow a defense has 3 interceptions, maybe 2 pick sixes. I just don't think the way it's going, I don't think that's what happens. Can it happen? Has it happened? It has happened. Generally does not happen, though. But other plays that just make sense, you want to go a little bit lower. A DeGuara, like I said. You want to go very low. Tight ends, it just depends. I don't think Austin Hooper does it. He only has 4 receptions on the year, and he's their number 1 wide receiver or tight end. They're just not thrown to their tight end like they did when they had Darren Waller. So that's the kind of thought process there. If you want to go very low, very, very low, like a Wicks is 200. So we can go down. We can look at these very low priced. Like I wouldn't trust Horsted. I wouldn't do Callaway. I wouldn't do down here. I wouldn't do Bolden, Wilkerson. That's the thing. Like if you're looking, Wicks is probably as low down as I would go at 200. I don't trust very many. I just don't think it's going to be that kind of day. Abdullah at 1,000, maybe. That opens up some possibilities. The problem is, basically, it's Hunter Renfrow, it's DeGuara and up, maybe Toure, maybe. I don't think Abdullah does it. Hooper, they're just not throwing to him. So it's kind of like there are certain days where you can have some lower priced guys where you might feel confident about it and you're like, oh, I can do this. This is where we can go with this one. I just don't feel like it's going to be that kind of game. I think it's kind of going to be the main guys that we talked about, but finagling your way through to find a good captain. Again, I think Dobbs could be a captain spot. You are saving $4,500 there. Jacobs makes sense too because he's a good matchup. I think he's going to be overpopulated there in the captain spot. But it just really depends on what you want to go with. I don't think Aaron Jones does it for captain today. He could. I just don't think he does. Watson could. I don't think he's 100% though. That's the problem. I do not think Watson is 100% enough to make me feel confident enough in a captain spot. So just kind of breaking it down, we've got all the top guys for the captain spot that we feel confident about. Then we kind of just have to figure out the flex positions. I think we're going to see just the way the game's going, it feels like we're going to see a lot. Like if you're playing the $1 million one, we might see a lot of splitting at the top. And that's common with Showdown. This just feels like I'm not in love with this Showdown. There's other better Showdowns. Like Thursday Night Football is the Broncos. Who is it? Who is Thursday Night Football this week? Give me a second. It's someone versus the Broncos, right? Chiefs versus the Broncos. This would be one where if you're like some people do, and I will too. I will be making some lineups for a Monday through Thursday football. So it'll be this Monday night game with Thursday Night Football. And I will tell you, it will be a lot of Chiefs players. Travis Kelce should be healthy. And you could get that. You could get away with that with these two. So while this isn't the best of Monday Night Football, you could use that information here to then do a Monday or a Thursday Night Football game. And we can kind of look at that. We can't really go over it right now because all of the numbers aren't out to see how Denver ranks against all the positions for Kansas City and vice versa. That will be updated tomorrow. Those comes from stats.com or stats.inc. I can't remember what it is, or Stats Inc. It comes from a site where we can upload and we know what they are ranked. But it'll update and we can go through there. So if that's helpful for you, let me know. If you like this video, let us know as well. And good luck on Thursday Night Football. And let's bring up some bacon today. Peace!